Hi, I'm Tony Suarez, attorney, minister, former legislator, and law professor, and your host for I Need to Know, where we bring you information on politics and law in Puerto Rico and the United States, a production of the Public Trust Network. Today, our guest is Joel Montilla, president of the Puerto Rican Bar Association in Florida. Stay with us and subscribe to our channel for all updates. Hi, Tony Suarez, host of I Need to Know, and with us today, our guest is Joel Montilla, president of the Puerto Rican Bar Association of Florida. Welcome, Joel. Thank you for participating hoy.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Tony.
All right, Joel, we've got a lot of things to cover. As you know, this is part of our events for coming up September, where we're having this conference between the bar associations from around the country. I'm currently in the negotiations, and this week we'll be interviewing bar associations like the City of New York, which is a prestigious bar association, not necessarily Puerto Ricans. And this event actually is not directed just Puerto Ricans because it's about Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans. But as we'll discuss during the rest of this interview, it's about bringing information to everyone else who's not Puerto Rican about the situation of Puerto Rico. And so we're going to be inviting everybody nationally. And that's why we're broadcasting this on YouTube and our YouTube channel to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to learn about Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans and so forth. But that starts with the pillars of our community. Of course, being a former president myself and being an attorney, I've always considered the law the pillar of all society. I mean, I think pretty much people will generally agree with that without law, there is no society. And so lawyers are the ministers of that religion of law, right? And so you and your position as president of the Puerto Rican Bar Association of Florida are a pillar of the Puerto Rican community here in Florida. And of course, that makes you part of the national picture of Puerto Ricans from Chicago. I mean, there are literally Puerto Ricans in every state of the union. And so let's talk about a little bit first about you, who you are, what you're doing, with yourself. And I'd like you to tell you, you're an attorney in private practice. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So how long have you been in practice, Joe?
A little over 8 years now.
All right. And you're primarily practicing in Central Florida?
That's correct. Yeah.
Right.
Primarily in Central Florida, but I have clients throughout the state of Florida.
Okay. So, Joel, tell me about what you're up to. I know one of the big things you're doing, of course, is right now you're running for commissioner.
Yes. That's a trail for sure. I just welcomed my first son on April the 20th. So that's been my best title to date. But I am, with the bar, I'm in my second year now serving as the bar president, and I took office last year. And so this year last year we reintroduced the organization. We had our installation very successfully attended. Thank you as well, Tony, for being there. And then this year we've been really opening up our membership, as you had discussed before, for those that are of Puerto Rican descent and work in areas that affect Puerto Rican communities. But also allies. So that's a little bit about the bar, running for commissioner as well. And then my law firm, I still do that as a trade. I still do estate planning and asset protection and a lot of transactional law. But many things that are happening at the same time. But we're excited about the September convention and excited to be on this call as well.
Well, we got one of the things so people understand that we're watching us in Puerto Rico, or the county commission is a position not everyone has. For example, New York has counties, they call them boroughs, but don't have a county commission. So could you describe to us what a county commissioner does?
Excellent. Yeah. So you have, at least locally, you have your municipalities, and then you have your county. And then within Orange County, where I'm currently running, there is about 14 municipalities within Orange County in and of itself. But I summarize it at the door when I'm knocking on doors, and it's basically the stuff that really affects your day to day. This is the stuff, when it has to do with traffic, when it has to do with population, and of course those that are in land use and building. It has to do with permitting and zoning as well. So I say it's the thing that affects you every day as you get and wake up in the morning and you go to your commute, whether you're going to drop off the kids at school or go to the grocery store. In that commute and in that experience, that's mostly what the commissioner does. It's first responders, traffic, and it has to do with making sure that Orange County has what's called tourism tax dollars and how those put to use. And it's a way to kind of help overall the county and support when it comes to the stuff that affects you every day.
Right. So this basically it's a local legislature for the county.
It is.
What's the county population of Orange County?
It's 1.45 million, and expected to go, depending on which resource you tap into, between $300,000 and $500,000, or between 300 and 500,000 people by 2030. So there's a lot of growth here. It's an extension of, like you said, Tony. It's an extension of the state when it comes to the local issues.
Puerto Rican Bar Association of National Conference is a grouping of bar associations from around the country who wish to bring you information on the law and politics about Puerto Rico and in the United States. Seminars, workshops, and networking events for business persons and community activists who are interested in Puerto Rico and its community around the nation. Non-lawyers, tickets are free to the workshops. Networking and food events are a separate charge. For more information, see PRBA-nationalconference.com. You can register online. Thank you. La clínica legal sirve para ayudar a la comunidad que no puede económicamente retener un abogado. Si usted cualifica, la clínica legal te puede ayudar con consultas y representación legal gratis o por contribución mínima. Llama ahora 407-900-2065 en Florida. 407-900-2065 Florida. Right, there are 67 states and 67 counties in the state of Florida, and Orange County is the seat of Disney. This is where Disney is. Between this and Osceola County is our biggest client in Orange County, of course. And I know
there's a point of reference. A lot of people say Orlando, but I think we're referring to the Orlando Metropolitan Statistical Area, which includes the seven counties, which includes Osceola and Orange County as well. Yeah. But it is correct. The Orlando Metropolitan includes the Disney's, the Universal's, a very, very big tourist economy.
Now, of course, that's where you're situated, but the Puerto Rican Bar Association of Florida is a statewide organization. So we have chapters or committees and vice presidents. I think you have, right, for each different region. Is that correct?
That's correct. So there's 3 at large that serve the entire state, which is the president, secretary, and then treasurer. And then we have the vice president of Central Florida, Mr. Philip Arroyo. Then we have the vice president of Broward, which is Rivera Gonzalez. And then we have the VP of Miami-Dade, which is Mark Berrios Ayala. And then we have Arthur Jones, who is the VP for the Tampa Bay area and our initiatives to penetrate that market in that area. And then we also have, like as I mentioned before, our secretary, who is Angelica Jones, and then our treasurer, who is Elsa Camacho. So 3 at large, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 statewide. And those individual vice presidents oversee their respective districts. The presidents and the secretary and the executive board help support those initiatives locally.
Now, their estimated studies are that we're about a little bit more than 1.1 million Puerto Ricans in the state of Florida, and that actually there are now more Puerto Ricans in the state of Florida than there are in the state of New York, making the state of Florida the second largest behind Puerto Rico itself, where you have Puerto Rican. So that's a rather significant number, don't you think?
That's amazing. When I mention those numbers, everyone thinks, well, it's New York. It's New York. It's not Florida. And I think it's a growing trend. So it's interesting to be at that, ground zero when it comes to what's referred to as the diaspora, which I believe in your initiatives we're looking to have conversations on nationwide. But it's an honor to be in this situation where Florida is the number one population when it comes to the Puerto Ricans. I always thought I was born in the Bronx. I think you know that, Tony. We're like the New Yorkers that came down as well. Been here since '85 or '87 now. So it's exciting to see, and it obviously presents opportunities for many of us in this profession to be two fingers on the pulse.
But Joel, we when I was president of the bar as well, one of the reasons that we have a purpose, the Puerto Rican Bar Association has a purpose, which is different than, let's say, the Orange County Bar or the Workmen's Compensation Bar. There are many bar associations, voluntary bar associations, that called in the state of Florida, but Puerto Rican Bar Association is a different one. It calls itself differently than the others, and that calls for some sort of vision as to why the existence, why even have a Puerto Rican Bar Association if you can, civil practitioner, become a workman's comp or a tort lawyer or whatever it is. Why have a Puerto Rican Bar Association of the state of Florida? Could you answer that question for me?
Yeah, I would go and piggyback off. I call Tony. Hey, Tony, talk to me about how this all got started. But I think it has to do with the unique position that Puerto Rico is in. Given its history with the United States and its taxing, it's the taxation without representation, as we mentioned. So I think it has to do with its unique issues that it presents. With the Jones Act, there's a lot of issues that kind of oversee the Puerto Rican affairs, and I think it's very important. As if something was going on in Georgia, we'd be concerned and we'd be talking about that too. So I do believe that as a niche, when it relates to the issues that we solve and the issues that we address, have to do with the island and the people of the island, both in education and in empowerment.
It's been one of the things that always struck me. Of course, we've had Puerto Rico has now been part of the United States since 1898. It's a territory. It's governed under the territorial clause. It's not a state, nor is it free. So it has neither freedom to do what it wants to be as a sovereignty, and also it's not a state, so it cannot have representation in Congress. So it's really stuck in sort of the middle. And for the longest time, the people on the island of Puerto Rico have had debates and plebiscites over this question of what kind of relationship we should have with the United States. But it always struck me that it doesn't make a difference what the Puerto Ricans want, since they can't vote. They have no power. And so, if 100% wanted to be a state or 100% wanted to be an independent nation, well, so what? Unless Congress gave them this option, nothing would happen. And so therefore, having the debates or plebiscites on the island, limited to people from the island, was really a futile affair, sort of a tempest in a teapot example. And so with that was born the concept of putting together a national conference where all the bar associations from Chicago and New York and Puerto Rico, and of course Florida, could get together to try to educate the rest of the country on the issues that are affecting Puerto Rico and affect the states. Because remember, we had not too many years ago when Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, we had 50,000 Puerto Ricans come to the state of Florida. And many came with only the clothes on their back because everything else had been wiped out. So the Puerto Rico issue is not an issue only for Puerto Ricans or for Florida. It's an issue which affects the entire nation and involves everybody. It's an issue. So I would like for you to give us a little vision about how you perceive the role of yourself and the Puerto Rican Bar Florida in this whole overall movement.
Great question. And I stand on the shoulders of those that have come before me, like yourself, Tony. So I do appreciate that. I'm just trying to amplify the messaging that we've had as an organization, where we focus on both. When I took leadership last year, we had just to kind of, concise our pillars you mentioned earlier. And we developed the three pillars of our organization. That is the legislative branch, where we engage with legislations and those that represent our legislator from the local level to the state level and even federal level. But more importantly, what the bar has done is the Judiciary Nominating Committee. And exploring and looking at the experiences that I've had as a law student and as a constituent, and now becoming president of the bar. I think it's safe to say that most of our communities are more likely to encounter a judge. Right now, as we speak, judges are making decisions that affect our communities every day, whether it's a dissolution, whether it's death, whether it's property, lawsuits. I get a lot of those calls. I'm sure you do too, Tony. Mm-hmm. And so I think for us, really emphasizing that we are an organization that really cares and focuses on the judicial part of the processes. And so a lot of the people that have migrated from either another state or from the island don't really know the legalities of either starting a business. And then you and I would just sat on a recent panel with Ana Jimenez in the Puerto Rican Chamber. And so I think for us, the challenge and the focus is both on the focus on the judiciary, both in educating and empowering, as I mentioned before, but more importantly, what's being said and how are these judges making these decisions when they counter our community? Because every day, by all ages, they're in that courtroom across the state, engaging with judges who are going to change their lives. And not only that, but on a much greater scale, the judges are the ones that ultimately decide law. When laws are made and what laws are passed, the judges are the ones that focus essentially whether or not they should be changed and whether they should be, addressed differently. And so for us, we're really focusing, and it's not a 1 or 2 year initiative. It's an initiative that people like yourselves have engaged with, Tony, in terms of the judiciary, but we're really making that like a focal point of us to make sure that people understand the judiciary's role in a just society, especially in our communities.
Yeah, so that's an important point that you just made, that you actually have on your committees, when you interview judges, right, or candidates who want to be judges, and you screen them for sensitivity to the community. And then among the people that you have on your panel are not just members of the Puerto Rican Bar Association, but also non-members, like you said, the Chamber of Commerce, and you have citizens, that they can put their input as well. It's not just restricted to your membership. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have lawyers and non-lawyers as well. We're gonna, as a board, we're gonna reconvene and discuss that further to figure out exactly how we can make it a much bigger platform where we include, as you mentioned before, it's just not members but allies as well, to really bring the conversation around the judiciary's role when it comes to these decision-making processes.
Now, I want to make it clear to all of us who are people who will be listening to this and watching and edit it, because you have 1,000 enemies always going around, is that the Puerto Rican Bar Association, nor this group of bar association, endorses one political solution over another. Mm-hmm. Our objective here is to bring information out about how it works. A lot of people don't know that Puerto Rico don't have representatives in Congress. They don't know that Puerto Ricans can be sent to war in Iraq, but they haven't. In fact, they've been sent to war since World War I, right? But yet they cannot vote for the person who's sending them to war. It's a dichotomy that we could send the Puerto Rican to Iraq so the Iraqis can have freedom to vote, Afghanistan so they can have the Korea so they can have the right to vote, but they themselves cannot vote. It makes very little sense in the scheme of the American democracy as we understand it. But the bar associations do not take any position on that, just bringing information out. And so this conference that we're talking about, you see at the bottom of the screen, is about bringing information to everyone. And the way this is being structured this year is that all classes, all the workshops, actually for non-lawyers, will be free. You can come and listen and learn. Lawyers pay because they get continuing legal education credits for taking those classes. But we want to inform everyone. So that if you are an English speaker and you want to know about Puerto Rico and you've got neighbors of Puerto Rico, please come check into our channel to learn, because all of these lessons and all these workshops will be recorded and will be on this channel as well. So our objective is not to give you a point of view, our point of view, or your point of view, or anybody, just all the different positions legally, politically, perhaps even morally. But you ultimately have to make the decision on your own, we do not take a political position. I clearly stated your position as well on that, Joel.
Yes, absolutely. I think if I could summarize my experience in dealing with the convention and where the bar is that we do encourage dialogue, as protected by the First Amendment. And so I think that's an empowerment for discussions to be had, even with opinions that perhaps may not be favorable to your own ears. Nonetheless, it's for the betterment of a large community. You're correct. We don't partake in any particular endorsement. We do encourage and dialogue. When it comes to the judiciary, when we do convene it, there is a statewide list that we endorse as not. I wouldn't use the word endorse, but that we put out and said it is us as an organization that we feel these specific judges understand our issues, understand our people, our community, and our allies, or exact direct.
All right. Well, guys, is there anything else? I'm about to conclude, and thank you for being with us. Anything that you'd like to cover that I have not asked you a question about?
No. We are looking for, we have the three pillars are the legislator, as I mentioned, the judiciary. We didn't get that around to members ourselves. So we expanded our bylaws to include ally memberships. And so anyone who's interested in joining the bar, it doesn't necessarily have to be a lawyer. We have opened up membership to real estate agents, mortgage professionals, anyone who engages with lawyers, so they can be part of the membership in the value that we provide overall.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Well, Joel, thank you. I'm speaking with Joel Montilla, president of the Puerto Rican Bar Association of Florida, also a current candidate for county commission in Orange County. So if you're within his reach, please you need to contact him. You know where can he reach you? You have a telephone number or an email that you could reach you at?
Yeah. For the campaign, it's vote. It's my name, Joel, at votejoelmontilla.com. It's District 5. You can learn more information about that. And then my phone number is 407-308-2378. Information. I'll be really accessible. It has direct access to me. Feel free to call or text.
Okay, Joel Montilla, president of the Puerto Rican Bar Association of the state of Florida. Thank you very much for being with us today.